a new, well, new to me anyway, a new SDR transceiver for HF 6 meters and VHF, the SunSDR2 DX, coming up today on Hamradio 2.0.
Shut up and sit down.
So from Expert Electronics, the SunSDR2 DX transceiver is based on the well-known SunSDR2 Pro transceiver with several hardware improvements. It is 100 watts on HF, 50 watts on 6 meters, 8 watts on 2 meters. It's very compact and has a separate connector for active cooling and improved system supply, meaning it's perfectly suited for de-expeditions. They've also added a separate connector for an external antenna tuner, ATU antenna tuner, and that makes the SunSDR2 DX have all the functionality you got used to in the previous radios, plus even more. It's got improved hardware along with the ExpertSDR2 software, so this makes it a high-performance SDR transceiver and the perfect base station, which this is going to be an evident choice for a true contester. So hardware improvements in comparison to the SunSDR2 Pro is that improved supply system, which leads you to less heating and less power consumption. It's HPF for VHF, 100 megahertz, to eliminate strong out-of-band stations from coming in from HF, LPF to HF. HPF to VHF to eliminate strong out-of-band stations coming in from HF. And LPF to HF on 70 megahertz to eliminate strong out-of-band stations coming in from VHF. So they're separated very well. New VHF LNA chip, the PGA 103 Plus. New high-performance built-in stereo audio codec 24-bit 114 dB dynamic range. Sturdy dip-type external control connector. And new connectors, external tuner control, external fan control, ground, improved PCB topology. So the main capabilities, some of the main capabilities that they may, that kind of set this one aside from other SDRs, it has an independent RX path on the direct down conversion architecture, and it has an independent transmit path on the direct up conversion architecture. So down conversion and up conversion is something that's synonymous to SDR. We're not going to get too deep into that on this episode, but this one has independent paths for both transmit and receive. So it basically it's going to eliminate a lot of noise and eliminate a lot of intermod from other bands. Hey guys, welcome to Hamradio 2.0. I'm Jason, KC5HWB. If this is your first time to join us here on this channel, we do reviews, news, and how-tos of everything that's new in amateur radio. So I'm not sure exactly how new this is. It's certainly new to me. But this is like a competition, de-expedition grade SDR transceiver from SunSDR, called the SunSDR2, the DX version. The previous model was a Pro version. And so we're going to take a look at it today. I'm going to hook it up, and I've got the software downloaded, and we're going to do some cool stuff with it. So let's go over here to this view real quick. Here is... this box is actually heavy. The lid's coming off of it. It's creating a suction in there. Boom. This box was pretty heavy when I got it. And special thanks to the guys at Gigaparts that sent me this, because... they sent me a link to it, and they're like, hey, do you want to review this for us? And I'm sure. I have to send it back to them, which is totally fine. It is a welcomed opportunity that I probably wouldn't have received otherwise. So really grateful to be able to tinker with this thing today. So this is a pretty beefy power cable here. That's like 10 gauge wire. Maybe that might even be 8 gauge wire. It's more than 10 gauge wire. That might be 8 gauge wire is what that is. It's a pretty beefy power cable right there. So it comes with some interface cables for USB and Ethernet, and it comes with a mini UHF to SO239 connector. We'll tell you why that is here in a minute. So bring it out of the box. And look at the heat sink on the top of that thing. That was the first thing I saw. I was like, well, no wonder it's so heavy. Look at the heat sink on this thing. You wouldn't want to take this on a soda expedition. Just would not want to take it on a soda expedition. But it's made for de-expeditions, they say. So it's good if you're getting on a plane and flying to Costa Rica or somewhere that has a lot of HF work that you're about to do. So here's what the let me go over here and turn this off. Here's what the front of the radio looks like. It's got a port for microphone, which is a RJ45 connector. This is just a button for power. There's microphone 1. It's got another microphone connector, mic 1 and mic 2. And then it's got phones, just like that, for headphones. I believe the microphone connector for mic 2 is a standard Yaesu plug, very similar to Flex Radio. So I think I read that on there when I was doing the review of it. So we're going to try that here in a minute. Here's the back of the radio. It's got some weird ports on it because I was like, where in the world do you connect your stuff? Because this right here is for a tuner. Let me zoom in a little bit. I can get a better shot. There we go. So this right here is for an internal tuner for ATU. This is your A1, A2, and A3, which is your antenna 1, antenna 2, and antenna 3. So if you see right above each antenna port, right there and right there, these two are HF antennas. This is your VHF antenna right here. So you can do 2 meters. Like I said, it'll do 8 watts out on 2 meters, and it'll do 100 watts on HF and 50 watts on 6 meters. So this is your ALC connection, external controller, receive out, ADC in and DAC out, PTT key for CW. Or I'm sorry, push to talk for like a foot pedal, a key for CW, a LAN connection, a GPS connection if you wanted to attach a GPS antenna to it, and the REF. These are all SMA connectors right here. And one of the coolest things about it, in my opinion, is, oh, the ALC. There's an ALC port there as well. That's just a standard RCA plug. So one of the coolest things about it is the power cable is just standard power poles. This was really cool about Flex Radio also. They put standard power poles in the back of the radios, so you don't have to have some proprietary power cable for it. So it makes it easy if you want to have multiple power cables. You want to have a backup. You want to have one you keep in the vehicle. You want to have, of course, you wouldn't put this in a vehicle probably, but you wanted to have one in your DXpedition Go bag. You wanted to keep one in your backpack. You wanted to, it wouldn't be hard if you lost yours and had to build a new one. You don't have to go search in some weird place to find power poles. Hopefully power poles are in your kit already. So that's a really cool feature of the device, is that it takes a standard power connection. So I'm going to put that there, obviously, and that's the heat sink on the thing. Like I said, wow. I haven't plugged it up yet, so I don't know how loud it's going to be. We're going to find out here in a second. So I'm going to plug all this up, get the software going, and we're going to see what it looks like. Upon hooking this thing up, one thing that I mentioned but kind of bypassed over, the antenna connections here, let's get that in the window, are mini UHF connections. Okay, so luckily it comes with this cable right here that has a mini UHF on this end and an SO239 on this end. So it comes with one cable. So you can't hook up 3 antennas to it with one cable. So you have to order more cables. It's possible that it comes with 3 of these normally, and they might have just sent me one because I'm just doing a demo of it and sending it back. So check with Gigaparts when you, again, the link is in the description below. So you're gonna find where to find the radio in the YouTube description, and take you to Gigaparts site, and it'll show you different stuff that comes with the radio. But it does have, I guess, for ease of, to save space back here, because these mini UHF connectors are much smaller than a standard SO239 connector or a standard UHF connector. So it's easier to make the box smaller and more compact, and then you have to have adapters. And you don't have to use a jumper like this. You can get adapters that go straight mini UHF to SO239. I used to have some of those around here. For a lot of Motorola stuff uses that connector. So I have a few things like that around here somewhere. Not going to use it today. I'm just going to use the one that came with the radio today. But it's important to note that when hooking up everything. So it took a few steps in order to get this thing to connect the software running on the computer to connect to the radio itself. It wasn't really hard, but compared to some other radios I've done, it wasn't like a simple plug and play either. So basically, in long story short, and I'll link this guy's video up here somewhere, right there. I'll link a video up there where I found about the predecessor to this radio, the SDR2 Pro, which this one's the SDR2 DX. I believe read in the beginning of the video some of the differences in the new DX model. New DX model is 100 watts. So there's that. But also, the instructions for the video that I just linked above are for the SDR Pro, SDR2 Pro, I think. And their instructions, and that video was from like 4 years ago, from 2016. So, but I found the video useful, and this is how you connect the radio to the software. The radio comes with a pre-programmed IP address of 192.168.16.200. Okay, so if that fits into your local network that you're running on, then great. You should be able to connect to it with no problem. It didn't really fit into my local network because I'm running 192.168.1. something. So the fact that it was .16.200 didn't allow it to talk to my network correctly. So basically what you have to do, and what's linked in the video above, is you have to take, you have to open up your Windows property. You guys on Macs, I don't, there's probably a way to do that. I don't even know if they make ExpertSDR for a Mac or not. But on Windows, you have to go into your property managers, go into network right here. So you have to go in here and open up the adapter settings, go into properties, go into TCP/IP, IPv4, and change this to, this is the computer that's running ExpertSDR. You have to change it to something that matches somewhere in the 192.168.16. something subnet. Okay, since the radio's on 16.200, you can set your computer to 16.50, like the video shows, 16.100, doesn't matter. Just as long as it doesn't match the radio. After that, after you set it there, I'm not going to do it right now, but after you set the static IP address, then you can go back into ExpertSDR, and of course all of this will be blank, and you go up here to options mode and click on this expert tab here, and if you click discover on the far left of this window, it'll come up and it'll see the radio, okay? And then you click on the use button and the menu goes away. Then go back into it. Options, we're already on the expert tab. And it'll tell you here, it'll say SDR address, and that's the IP address of what your radio is, which will say 16.200 at that point in time. And then you can assign it a new IP address in this box that matches your current home network. Now, what I think I misspoke earlier. I should have said this first. What you have to do is unplug the Ethernet cable from your network. The Ethernet cable running to your computer and your radio, the SunSDR2 radio, have to be connected to one another. If you're using Wi-Fi, then that's okay. Take the Ethernet cable that comes with the SunSDR2 radio and plug it into the Ethernet adapter of your computer, and then change those ports that I just showed you. That will create a very small network between the radio and your computer and allow you to change these settings. Once you do that, you change it to an IP address right in here and click on Set IP, and then it'll disconnect because now it's looking for your network. So then you take your Ethernet cables and plug them back into where you would have them normally. Plug the Ethernet cable out of your computer into your switch. Take the SDR, SunSDR Ethernet cable, plug it back into the switch, and then they'll see. And then you should be able to go to Discover and Use, and it should find it in that Discover view. But then you can go back into it and have all this information populated. And if you click on SDR Info and it brings up an information window like that, then you're golden. And then all you do to power the radio off and on is this at this top left and right button here. Now it's powered off. You see the waterfall stopped. Okay, now I can power it back on again. So I could turn the... Yeah, that's on. I could turn that on.
what kind of sold it for me there.
I can tune around the band. I can change bands.
I'm sure there's
I'm going to turn that off because it's really kind of loud. I'm on 20 meters right now. It's on... oh, there it is. This little menu in the center here, it's on upper sideband. It's clicked green. I can go down here and I can say, you know what? I'm going to go to 40 meters. So I'm going to click on... actually, this is all in the same line. Cool. So 40 meters. Boom. And then it automatically changes to lower sideband. As well it should. Okay. And now here's the graph on 40 meters. And of course, you can, if you wanted to go AM, you can go AM that way. And change back to 20 meters. Boom. And it changes itself back to upper sideband. You can go to CW. Okay. There is a digital U right there. So we should be able to do some FT8, WSJTX type stuff. But then you can just click around in here and whatnot, so it has a lot of options available. This is really cool. Oh, there's a signal.
space just into the noise and you come right back. So no issues at this point. But anyway, yeah. Well, let's see.
It's got some pretty decent airs on it. There's there's probably a way to adjust.
I read your QRZ bio here. So you were selling cars.
There's probably a way to adjust the filters in there. I haven't gotten to that yet. Again, we're not diving that deep into it today. But one thing that's really cool, if I click on tune up here at the left, that SDWR, see, it's tuning at 5 watts, or I'm sorry, power is 2.9 watts, and that SDWR is flat. You can see it up in the top corner there. Power 2.9 watts, SWR is like 1.1 to 1. So this antenna I've got up right now is great. So I can click off of tune. Doesn't have an internal tuner. That's just a way to measure the SWR with a small amount of power. So really cool stuff. So it was a little bit tricky to get it was a little bit tricky to get. I know what I'm doing with computers. I worked in IT for 15 plus years, and I did a lot of networking. I have a home network that I've set up and made a bunch of changes to over the years. Not a big deal. It was not plug and play. So I couldn't get it to plug and play. I had to go in there and manually change the IP address to set to match my network. You may not have that problem. Okay, so every network is going to be different, but once it's up and going, it's easy to operate the software from.
I probably shouldn't be pointed out to Phoenix area, so let me back up about 60 degrees here, and we'll see how things sound anyway. Yeah, I got you pretty light the first
Lost him there.
transmission, but it came up a little bit on the second one. So I guess we're still doing the serious QSB thing.
Huh.
Anyway, name's Rich, Romeo, India, Charlie Hotel. QTH here is about 140 miles south of Chicago.
He's in Chicago, 140 miles south of Chicago.
Let's say about 140 miles south of Chicago. One of the COVID-19 capitals of the U.S. up there in Chicago. Fortunately, I'm far enough south. So, what's happening with the mobile setup? Good?
Can't hear that station he's talking to.
I think you asked what the name was. Your signal took a dip. Yes, it is Rich, Romeo, India, Charlie Hotel.
The Yaesu microphone does work with the SunSDR device. It does work. So this is my MH31. This is actually a Flex radio microphone. But the Flex radio and the Yaesu radios interchange also, the ones with the RJ45 connectors. So good info.
That was probably worse. I don't know whether it's RF or some other problem.
Huh. I wonder if he could hear me. I'm going to try it and see.
I can still hear it in there, but your signal dropped way down, so I don't know if that means you shut off a linear or what.
I hear that guy, but he's way down in the noise.
I don't think it's... Just a second. We have some open web truckers back. Up over me, pointed at me, so I discouraged him from hanging around there. Anyway, yeah, it sounds more like an RF or something, but I'm not totally sure what it is.
Noise floor right now is about an S6. So, a lot of noise out there. Of course, it's 20 meters in the middle of the day. So, I was doing some really cool activity on 20 meters this morning on FT8. And how you would interface this thing with WSJTX, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get into that today. I might look that up. And see. It'd be an interesting experiment because it doesn't have the DAC. The Flex Radio Smart SDR software uses their own digital audio interface. I don't know if this ExpertSDR has something like that. I haven't researched it yet. So, good question.
Because I really can't copy, unfortunately. Hopefully you're able to figure out what the problem is and be able to catch up with you again.
The fan on top of the radio, right here, top right corner of the screen, is spinning. It actually spun up when I turned the radio on the first time. I didn't really hear it because I thought, well, maybe it kicks on when you hit transmit, but no, it's been running the whole time. You can't hear it. Quiet. Maybe if I got into a warmer climate, it might change that, but
PTO a little bit. I don't know. This old swan don't move
better
too
signal.
far, but it might move a little over.
Now I switched frequencies there. If I wanted to go back to my previous frequency, I hit this little drop down arrow above the frequency counter at the top. It's called Quick Memory. It lists your last 16 frequencies. So previously I was on 240. Go back to 240 and listen to that guy. Oh, I want to go back to where I just was. 258. 240. Let me go back to 240. That guy's still out there. That's a lot of noise. There might be some adjustments in here you can do. I mean, like many other software pieces, like lots of different software in amateur radio today, it would take a long time just to go through everything in this software. This ExpertSDR software seems very robust. There's a lot of stuff you can do in it, which is a good thing. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's definitely more stuff than I would want to cover in one video because we'd be sitting here for 2 hours and nobody would watch a 2-hour video on YouTube. So want to see if maybe there's a way to interface it with WSJTX. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just don't know how to. Put that back on. See if this guy's... He's talking to somebody, but... Or somebody's talking back to him, I should say.
Roger, roger. I'm in North Carolina, just side of Tulsa on 349. Kilo, India, 4, November, Sierra, Papa, in North Carolina.
Kilo, India, 4, November, Sierra, Papa is who's calling that guy back right now. I bet they're not going to hear me just because they're so down in the noise to me. And I heard that guy say... That guy right there, he said he was running legal limit. He's 140 miles south of Chicago.
Yeah, signal popped up pretty good that time, Tom. It's just the QSP's been horrendous.
500, but it's,
So what you can do is
currently
take your
X-ray.
mouse and go over to the top of the screen there. I can zoom this in a touch, just like that. So what I can do is take the mouse here, and if I right click, you see it says 14.258 right there. If I left click, it'll go to 14.268, 278. If I right click on that same number, it'll go back down again. And it'll do that for any digit. Like I can go to 5.9, back to 5.8. I could go to 3.8, which of course there's nothing for amateur radio up that high. Back down to 2.8. So that's kind of a neat way to be able to scan around the band, or not scan, but, you know, kind of move around the band. Let's see if...
And I use the double...
240.
November, enjoyable contact. Take care, Rich.
Let's see if I can call this guy Rich. I don't know if he'll hear me or not.
Thank you.
Kilo Charlie 5, Hotel Whiskey Bravo. Whiskey Bravo 5 Oscar, he went to that too. And he's down in the noise to me, and he said he was running, I think he said legal limit. He's definitely running an amp. So if he's like a 5x3 or 4x4 to me right now, running power, I'm not getting back to it. And my antenna's not pointed north anyway. Chicago's kind of like northeast of where I'm at right now. My antenna is the legs are pointed north and south, so that my radiation pattern is actually east to west right now. So if I had a beam or something, I could turn and point towards. Now I heard him earlier, and he said that he had turned his beam to talk to another station who had called back to him, and his signal to me dropped down. So that means he's not pointed towards me right now. And that's okay, whatever. Let's see. Nope. Let's see. And you can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to kind of change it by whatever step you've got it set to. Just like that. Kind of neat. So I could go up here and say, see the headset icon there is green? Ah, quiet. You know, I can still watch a waterfall, but now it's quiet. So that is the SunSDR2 DX 100-watt rig. Actually, oh, hey, now I'm seeing the signal up there. It's not bad. So, really, special thanks to Gigaparts for allowing me to review this. This is not a radio that I would normally review, just because, not because there's anything wrong with it. It's a little bit out of my price range, and it's a little bit higher grade of a radio than what I typically tend to review, but I like being able to expand my horizons. Nothing in the world wrong with that. So, gonna do some more tinkering around with this, maybe see if we can get a second video out of it. Thanks for watching, guys.